recording. So the first thing we want to do is go to, obviously, our Epic Games launcher, to our library. We're going to launch Unreal 4. All right. So in our select new or create new project, we're going to go to games. We're going to click next. We're going to select the first person template. We're going to do next. We're going to leave it as blueprints and no starter content. We can save it in the same place we've been saving all our Unreal projects. Mine is in my documents. And we'll just name this midterm. And I'm going to name mine fall 2022 because that's our midterm, or that's our term right now. But you can name it whatever you want. You can name it My Puzzle Game, whatever you want to name it. It doesn't matter. Now, once you've named it, hit Create Project. While this is loading, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but you will turn in the project, the entire project, through Google Drive. Okay, so let's do some project setting changes that are going to make this a little bit easier for us to mess with. So the first thing we want to do is go to our content browser. We're going to click on this Show Hide Source Panels button right here to show all our content. And then we want to go to, I think it's first person. Let me see. No, it's one of these. Oh, first person BP. This one right here, first person BP. And inside there is the maps folder. So the maps folder. And inside here, we have this first person example map. You see that? Why through Google Drive? Is it because it allows bigger files? Yes, Diego, it's because it allows bigger files. Your project is going to end up probably being about, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 gigs, maybe more, depending on how much textures and materials and any 3D assets you add to your game. And you can't do that in Canvas, right? Okay, so with this map selected, what we're going to do is just right-click it and say duplicate. And it's going to allow us to name it. We're going to name this midterm map.
And are we copying the first person example map?
Yeah, I just duplicated it. So I'll undo that and I'll show you.
Okay.
Oh wait, I can't undo in content browser. Delete. So just right click, duplicate, or you can do Control W. Don't worry about the built data. We're going to change all that. Okay, next, we're going to go to our content browser again. We're going to go to the content folder. We're going to right click that content folder and say new folder. This folder we're going to name art. Then we're going to right click content again, create another new folder, and this time we're going to call this one blueprints. And then if you want to be super high speed, you can right click those and set a different color for each one. just so you know where you're working. With the art folder selected, we're going to right click that guy and we're going to say new folder and we're going to name this maps. Then we're going to go to the maps we just created under first person BP, the maps folder. We're going to grab that midterm map and I'm going to left click and drag it into our newly created maps folder. And you can see it says move or copy midterm map. And we're going to say yes. We're going to move it here. We're going to select move here. And that's just going to move that map that we just created into where we want to work. We want to try and stay away from the templated stuff. Okay. Then we're going to go to, let's see, do I want you guys to mess with it? Yeah, we'll mess with it. That's fine. We're going to go to first person BP. We're going to go to the blueprints folder. And then we're going to select this first person character and right click it and say duplicate. And we're going to name this one BP underscore first person character. BP underscore first person character. And then we're going to drag this guy into the blueprints because it's a blueprint. All right.
You said we're dragging it into blueprints. I'm checking where I dragged it, but I'm not really seeing it. I'll try it one more time. Maybe I screwed up.
Yeah, from the first person BP blueprints folder to your newly created blueprints folder. Again, what we're trying to do is just stay away from the templated stuff. We're using the templated stuff, but we're going to retain the old templated stuff so that we can look at it if we need to.
All right, I got it.
Okay, so we need to do a couple other things. Let's do, we're going to go to our blueprints folder. We're going to right click in that blueprints folder. We're going to go to blueprints right here. Let's see, is this right? Yeah, we can do it here. It's fine. Blueprints, blueprint class. It's the same thing as this one, blueprint class. And in there, we want to create a game mode base. This one right here, game mode base. And we're going to type in midterm game mode, midterm underscore game mode. And let me look at this real quick, make sure I'm doing this right. Game mode, HUD, and then the character is just a pawn. Could use controller, but I don't think we need a controller. We'll do, hold on, let me look at the project settings real quick. I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. Not input, what is it? Game modes. Game modes. What environment? Where is this? Game, oh, maps and modes. That's what it is. So player controller is fine. We'll change that. Change, leave that how it is. And game instance will probably not change. Okay, so let's do one more. We're going to right click. We're going to do blueprint class again. And this time we're going to click right here where it says all classes, this little down arrow. We're going to click that. And in the search box, we're going to type in game instance. Game instance. And we're going to select the very top one here where it says game instance. And
Oh,
as
wait,
soon
how'd
as,
you go to that?
right here where the little down arrow is, where it says all classes, there's a little arrow next to it. And I clicked on that little arrow.
Okay.
That arrow right there. Well, now. And then I typed in game instance in the search box, selected game instance and hit select. And we're going to name this midterm underscore game instance. Midterm game instance. Okay, so while you guys are doing that, let me talk about these for a second. So the game mode, it's basically, it sets up the type of game that we're going to play, whether it's a soccer game, a baseball game, the main menu, a multiplayer game, multiplayer hot seat, multiplayer network, multiplayer on the same screen. It's just the game mode, and everything for that game sort of derives from it. Your score, how many players, which means how many pawns in the scene, and how many characters, and so on, and how many player controllers you're going to have. The game is, yes, send it.
Real quick, the game mode blueprint in there is the game mode base in the parent class.
Yes, that's correct. So right
Okay,
here,
good.
this one, game mode base, that one. So if I
All
can
right,
think,
just wanted to double check.
you're good. Yeah, game mode base. The game instance is like your save game, like where you say, you know, like you open up Legend of Zelda, you got this 3 saves, right? And Link has like 50 hearts, and he's got the Master Sword and all the bomb and bows and arrows. That's in the game instance. That's where you save and load your either your score, your data, your characters, your inventory, all that stuff. This is actually in the game. That's not necessarily on your computer itself. So the computer might have like a set save file. That save file will go to the game instance and then say load up this information. So it's a little bit different, but the game instance also saves stuff in the game, whatever level you're in or not, doesn't matter.
But
Whereas,
the game instance allows for you to save. Is that what that does?
Mm-hmm. It
Okay.
saves the information while the game is running. Think of it as like, I mean, I don't know a computer term. It's like RAM basically, right? So it saves that information for you to use later. And then you can say, I want to save that information to a disk, and you can do that either through blueprints or through code. And that's sort of part of game instance because you're getting the data from the game instance and saying save it to a file, but the game instance itself doesn't do that. All right, so hopefully everyone has these three. What we're gonna do now is go to File and Save All. Okay. Next, we want to go to Project Settings. Now, if you don't have this tab right here where it says Project Settings, that's okay. Just go to Window. I'm sorry, it's actually Edit. Go to Edit, Project Settings, that one right there. Edit, Project Settings. And in our project settings, we want to go to the maps and modes under project, maps and mode category. So it should be under project, maps and modes. And right here, you can see it's this first person game mode. We're going to change that. And we're going to do, what is it? Midterm game mode, this one right here. And you can type in midterm if you can't find it, and it'll show up like that. For our pawn, we can leave that alone. HUD, we'll probably change it later, but we can leave that. Player class, our player controller will leave. Game state, game player state. All these we can leave. But under default maps, editor startup, we're going to change this to our new map that we just created called MidTerm map. And when the game loads, the one we want is MidTerm map as well. So now when we start up this project, it will always go to MidTerm map. And when the player plays the game, the first map that will load is MidTerm map. Local multiplayer, we can leave alone, but right here where it says game instance, we're going to change that to our new game instance, MidTerm game instance, that one right there. Okay. Let's go back to our main level editor. And in there, we're going to go to the content browser. We're going to go to our art folder, our maps folder, and we're going to double click this MidTerm map. And when I do, you'll notice that here in our tab, it says MidTerm map. That's letting us know that that's the level that we're in.
So like, if we wanted to like resume on our creating the project, the moment we load up, the moment we open that project, we're just gonna be in that MidTerm map.
Yes, it should put you in. It should put you in that MidTerm map. Yes, and we'll see when the Unreal crashes on me because I have two Unreals open. I have the one I'm looking at for reference, and then this one. So when Unreal decides to crash on me, you'll see it'll open up to the MidTerm map for me. All right, so let's make some more changes while we're messing around before we get too deep into the blueprints. Let's go right here and we're going to click in our viewport. We're going to click on this first person template. This is a text renderer, so it's the same text renderer we've used in blueprints, but it's just a text renderer in the scene, right? And so we're going to select it. We're going to go to the details panel, and right here where it says text, we're going to change that MidTerm. And maybe we'll change the color too, just so we know, like, here, I'll do it. Oh, yellow looks bad. How about blue? I don't know, purple looks good, better. Maybe a lighter purple. There we go. And if you want, you can mess around with this and grab it and maybe put it on the wall or something. So everyone knows that it's the MidTerm and that you're in the MidTerm map. All right, next we want to do, so we're going to go to our world outliner, or we can go to the viewport. And we're going to select our first person character, this guy right here. So select that guy, and you're going to hit the delete key and remove him because we're not using the first person character. We're using BP underscore first person character. So go ahead and remove that. And then you're going to go to your blueprints folder and you're going to drag in your first person character into the scene. You may have problems like I do, but that's okay. It's because we haven't set up everything. It's because you have like this extra gun floating around and stuff's still kind of broken. It's okay. We just want to make sure we're using the correct blueprint, not the default first person character, but the one that we've copied over and duplicated. Okay, next, we can select all these cubes and get rid of them. This is going to be sort of our test level. All the things we're going to do. So we don't need these cubes. And what is this? Network player start. We can get rid of network player start as well. That can go away. Network player start can go away. So let's hit play. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm spawning in the air now. That's great. That's funny. We'll fix all that.
I think I'm missing how I switch between the maps. I tried doing it, but it's not showing that it worked.
Share your screen. So right now you are in the midterm map. So you're in the right map. Go ahead and hit save, or you don't have to. It's up to you. But you have to hit something, either save or don't save. I recommend saving, it's fine. And then go to edit. Or what are you trying to do now? If you're talking, I can't hear you. You're muted right now.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna delete the first person. Sorry if I can do it
Yeah, just type in first person.
there and just like delete.
Yep.
Right.
Yes, you can right click and delete or hit the delete key on the keyboard.
Why is it? Okay. Sorry, it's not there. Okay. And then I find BP underscore.
But it's
First
not going to be,
person.
it will not be in the world outliner. It will be in your content browser. The world outliner is
Right.
everything in the world. The content browser is like your library of stuff. So it should be in the blueprints folder that you just created.
Under here.
No,
Right.
no, yes, there you go, that one. And you can just drag it into the scene anywhere, or you can drag it into the outliner. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay,
Yep.
that's what I need. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, my turn to share. Anyone else having problems?
Nope, I am good.
Okay, great. Okay, so what were we at? Okay, Zoom has quit unexpectedly. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we can't
I
see the
hear you.
screen.
Can't see you.
Did the screen crash?
It says you're sharing.
Yeah, we can't quite see anything. Everything we see is just you starting to share the screen double.
Okay, maybe that'll work. Let's see. There we go. Is it working now?
Yes.
Now it's
Okay.
working.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let me turn the camera off. It could be my not great internet. Okay, so what are we doing? We got first person character. We have our new map. Everything's, oh, we need to save everything. File, save all. Let's save it all. And then let's go into the first person character blueprint and start messing with stuff. You ever see those like, or you ever have like a guy come to your house to like fix your ACE or your computer or something, and he just like starts taking stuff out of it. You're like, you don't need that, they don't need this, take it off. And then suddenly the vacuum cleaner works so much better, or whatever, right? Your VCR or whatever. That's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna just take stuff out we don't need. So because it's gonna be a puzzle game, we definitely don't need the gun. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab right here, where it says FP gun and the sphere. We're gonna get rid of both of those. this L motion controller, R motion controller, VR gun, and VR marker. We're gonna get rid of all of those as well. And then we're just left with these hands. We can get rid of that too. We don't need no hands. And then we'll compile, and it's going to complain. And that's because it doesn't have a gun anymore to do the animations. So we'll talk about that as soon as you get rid of those things. And by the way, that's in the components pane. That's all you should have left. See it. Oh, I lost my chat. There we go. I don't know if I can paste. No, Zoom won't let you paste. It's unfortunate. We're gonna have class all on Discord now.
I totally agree.
Just kidding.
Oh, really? Oh. Maybe you got me. Ugh.
All right, so let's go to, this is basically telling us like, hey, there's problems with the blueprint. And all we have to do is kind of read it to kind of give us an idea of what to do. So this is like the big thing of coding, right? Yes, you guys followed along and you set stuff up, but you ran into these problems, or some of you ran into problems, maybe some of you didn't, maybe you did run into problems, you solved it on your own or whatever. But this is going to happen often. And some of it is just reading it and figuring out. Some of it is just experience, right? Like, oh, I've had this problem before, this is how I solve it. And some of it is just scratching your head and being frustrated until you either solve it or you ask for help. And so just understand that like that's what's going to happen. You're going to do something, we're going to work on something, and the compiler or your message log is going to say, hey, this is broken, something is not right. And it's going to try Unreal is going to try its best to sort of like guide you to where the fix is. So in this case, it's saying, hey, this blueprint scene component, something's wrong with this target connection. Now, if I click on it, you can see right here, it's saying, hey, there's a problem with this, right? It can't find the motion controllers anymore. Why? Because we deleted them, right? So it can't find the VR motion controllers because we deleted them. And we have the same problem here and here. You can see these big red error messages, right? So what we're going to do is we don't need to spawn projectiles with our puzzle game, right? So we can just delete this whole thing. So I just left click and drag, selected the whole block there, and hit the delete key on the keyboard. Then I'm going to compile. It's going to give me, it's still compiling and still giving me errors, right? Like, hey, I got some more targets that I can't find connections to. Right here, where it has to do with using the motion controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this Boolean, right? Remember we talked about Booleans before. I'm going to grab that Boolean and this branch and all three of these things. I'm just going to delete them all. Delete. As a matter of fact, I'm going to delete all of this. Delete all of it. The whole thing. Go away. All of it can go. This reset VR orientation, that can go too. Just go away. Then we'll compile. It's going to complain again. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, in the construction script, attach component. That's fine. We can get rid of that. Compile. And finally, no more errors. And all that stuff that we just deleted has to do with VR.
I wonder why they'd have VR and like the basic blueprint thing.
Because VR is very big, very, very big. As a matter of fact, when I worked for Leidos, which is a military contracting company, we made what are called digital twins of airplanes, and then taught not just the pilots, but like the crew, where everything is in the plane, how to operate, like we did the C-130. So we taught them like there's a whole VR thing on how to operate the ramp properly. There's a whole thing on how to inspect the whole plane, inside, outside, on top of it, right? You do the whole thing in VR, and then another one for like maintenance of the engine, how to deal with the engine itself, all in VR.
Pretty cool.
So Yeah, okay, so all that's done, save it. And by the way, Unreal's like, I mean, I'm obviously biased because I like Unreal, but Unreal I think is doing like the most advanced, or they're the front of the line for like VR stuff too. Unfortunately, we can't do VR. I can't really teach you guys VR because not everyone has a VR headset, right? And the school would have to provide everyone with one in order for us to build VR stuff. But just know that it's out there. Okay.
I'm just gonna have to
Is
rewatch some of
there
this
a
on what
set-
you're.
Okay, there's two
No, go ahead.
questions.
You go.
Rock,
Oh,
paper, rock,
okay. I was
scissors.
gonna say, is there is there a VR that's prone to being used more, like an Oculus or like the Index from Valve, or
I mean, I think in the business world, it's probably more like Vive is the HTC Vive is. I mean, that's just my experience. Like all these military contractors and stuff like that are mostly using the Vive headset. I personally have an Index, which I'll show you. And I play a lot of flight sims and stuff like that. I think I talked about that before. But yeah, oops, camera's pushed up again. So you guys can see here's my little Index, right? Yeah, but I like the Index because it has a better resolution than the Vive HTC, the earlier versions of the Vive Pro.
that's what I've heard. And I mean, aside from price point, I heard that Index is just really good anyway.
And actually I had problems with my first Index. I had oh man, we're going on a sidetrack. It's okay, it's fine. Let's see. I had a bad pixel in the lens on the left eye. And normally in a monitor, your monitor's over here. So if you have a dead pixel, it's a dead pixel and it's really annoying, but it's not like detrimental to vision. But when the monitor is like right here in your face and the pixel is like this big because it's so close to your eye, it's very, very disorienting. And so I contacted Valve and I was like, hey, it was actually past warranty. I think it was like past warranty, like 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, I'll pay the money to get it fixed. I love your product, yada, 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 yada. And they were like, well, send it to us and we'll look at it. And I sent it to them and they just sent me a new one. They didn't even like fix it or nothing. I thought they were gonna like replace the lens. They just sent me a brand new Index. I was like, okay, cool.
It's probably
Thanks.
easier for them. They're just like, well, all right, here.
Yeah, probably. Okay. All right, so what are we doing? Let's keep going and messing around with this stuff. What else do we want to do? Let's see. Let me look at this real quick. Bring this up to make sure I'm doing this right. This is, we don't need to do anything in there, but we do need to do it in this one. Let's go to our game mode. So midterm game mode. And right here on the details panel, we want to make sure that this is all correct, and I believe it is. Oh, default pawn class, we're going to change from default pawn to first person character, or BP underscore first person character, sorry. For default pawn class. And we'll compile and save that. I think that will fix my problem that I had earlier. Nope, I'm still spawning in the weirdness. Let's see if I can fix that. I am going to delete this and we will add a player start and then I'll hit play and now it works, of course. Okay, let me show you how I did that. Okay, so if you're spawning in the air like I am, even though the player, our pawn is right here, so you would think I should start there, but Unreal doesn't work that way. Unreal wants to know where you want the player to start. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our place actors in our level editor. Actually, before we do place actors, we're going to go to our first person character and we're going to actually remove that. Just remove it so it's out of the scene. So get rid of it. I know I told you to add it. Just get rid of it. Because in our game mode, we said in our game mode, we said this is going to be the character we're going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a player start and we can just put it anywhere in the world. And now the player will start where that player start is. See? Actually, I just got rid of all this. Why is it using the wrong one? PP first person character. Did I just delete everything? Shouldn't have a gun or anything. Let's see what's spawning in. Oh, first person character is spawning in. That's not what's supposed to happen. Return default pawn class. Is the player controller setting the wrong one?
I was gonna ask how you toggle the preview shorter,
What do you mean
like or
preview short?
smaller. So when you are selecting mine is like just taking up my whole thing and I can't do anything. It's basically
The viewport like
I can
this?
yeah, my viewport for when I click on the player icon, it just like, yeah, the preview just like overlaps so much so I can't even see anything past it.
So click on this little down arrow and you might have it set to play in new editor window. You might have something like this, or it's doing something like that.
Yeah, or
Okay.
something. Yeah.
But anyway, you want to
Okay.
change it to selected viewport, play in selected viewport, and that'll fix your problem.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so we need to figure out why the wrong character is spawning in here. See that mine has first person character and maybe yours does too. So what we're gonna do is go to world settings and see if I'm overriding stuff. No, first person game mode. Oh, here it is. Oh, it is overriding. Don't override, none. Let's see, now is it gonna play? There we go. Now I'm first person character. That looks better. Okay, so if you have the same problem I did.
I was about to ask how we access world settings.
So if you have the same problem I did, where it was using the wrong one, you're going to go to Window, World Settings. And when you click on it, it may open up here next to your details panel. It may not. It may just do something like this. But I prefer mine right next to the details panel. So I'm just going to grab the tab here and just drag it around until it's next to the details panel like I want it to be. And there we go. And inside world settings, we have this game mode override. And basically it overrides whatever I put in the project settings. So you would use this like, as an example, the project settings would probably be in a real game, the project settings would probably be game mode main menu for the main menu to do whatever you need to do in the main menu. And then when the player selects single player, then it loads up single player game mode. If the player selects multiplayer, then it loads up multiplayer game mode, right? But you need to test stuff. You need to work on things while in the project, right? You don't need to keep going to the main menu, loading up a multiplayer game, getting to, you don't need to do all that. So that's what this override is. So you can be like, load a multiplayer game right away as soon as I hit play. But for now, just leave it as none. So if it has something in there, just click on this little down arrow and say none. Light mask settings too. We'll leave it. We'll leave it the way it is. It's fine. And then when you hit play, you should have in your world outliner first person character. Now, if you're stuck like this where you're moving around and you're like, man, how did he get the mouse? If you hold down Shift and hit F1, you get the mouse back. But Shift plus F1 to get the mouse. And of course, you hit Escape. That ends the game, right? Ends the game, gets us out of the play mode. Or you can hit stop to get us out of the play mode as well. But what you're looking for in a world outliner when the game is running is first person character. And when the game is not running, you don't have it anymore. And you'll notice it's also in yellow. All right, let's do one last thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it'd be a good idea to have a HUD. like a little arrow or maybe a dot to say, hey, this is, you're moving around in the world. So we're going to go to our content folder. We're going to right click again and we're going to say new folder again. And this one we're going to name UI, or you can do user interface. It doesn't matter. And maybe you'll color it as well if you want. Do like a green. Oh, that's too close. There we go. That's green. And in that user interface folder, we're going to right click and we're going to say user interface. It's right here. This is all new, by the way. User interface, we're going to say widget blueprint. Widget blueprint. And we're going to type in WBP underscore, we'll do player indicator maybe. Indicator, I think I spelled that right. Maybe I didn't. Then we're going to do another one. We're going to right click again. We're going to go to, I think it's under blueprints. Yeah, we're going to just do blueprint class. And we're going to go to right here where the all classes are. We're going to search. And we're looking for HUD. HUD, HUD. And we want this top one right here. And we're going to say midterm game HUD.
I'm sorry, I missed that. How do you get to that search menu again?
It's the same as before. Oh my gosh, hold on. Typing game HUD. So to do it, delete this one, we'll do it again. We're going to do blueprint class. And then right here where that all classes is, that little down arrow, just like we did a second ago for game instance, we're doing the same thing. For this time, we're just typing in HUD. We're going to select it.
Thank you.
No problem. And we're going to do midterm underscore game HUD. So it's two different things that we have here. Oh, actually, let's save. File, save all. So two different things. The first one here is a blueprint of whatever HUD we want visible while the game is being played. Maybe we want a health bar. Maybe we want a magic bar. Maybe we want ammo, displayed, or whatever weapon the player is using. Maybe we want like, 1-ups to appear and whatever, right? The game HUD manages all those different interfaces or those different widgets. So in this case, this widget that we're about to create here is just one piece of that big HUD, if that makes sense. So we need to do something before we start messing with this player indicator widget, which will be very easy for us to mess with. But we're going to go to this midterm game HUD thing, and we need to go back to our project settings. In our project settings, right here where it says HUD class, sorry, I skipped a step. Project settings, edit, project settings. Inside there, you're going to go back to the maps and game modes. And under the default, where it says HUD class, you're going to change it to our new midterm game HUD. So a lot that we've just done just to set up the project, and we really haven't even written any code or done anything in the game yet. That's okay. It's all going to come together. All right, let's go back to our level editor, and we're going to open up this BP and player indicator. And so now we are in a widget blueprint editor. So the interface is kind of similar to the interfaces we've been working with before. If we look at a blueprint, all right, we still have viewport, construction, event. We go to our player indicator, we don't have that. But we have this designer and graph button right here. Do you see it on the right-hand side, designer and graph? And when I switch to graph, all of a sudden now it looks very much like a blueprint editor, right? Of course, our difference is it says widget blueprint editor down here at the bottom, but we still have an event graph, and our designer is almost like the viewport of a regular blueprint. This is what the interface or the widget is going to look like. All right, on the left, we have our palette. So this is like all the things that we can add to our widget. That's like a library of different types of things that we can add to our interface: text box, check boxes, buttons, progress bars, swirlies, all sorts of stuff, right? Different text. And then right here, the hierarchy is sort of like the items inside our widget. And of course, we have our details panel. We can do some sort of animations if we want with timelines. And then, of course, a compiler result to tell us what broke or what did not break. So in the left-hand side here, let's just grab an image. So right there, it says image. You're just going to drag it into the hierarchy, and it's going to place it into our design. If you can't find image, you can type in this in the palette search block image, and it will show up. You just drag it into the scene or into your hierarchy, sorry. We're going to click on that image in our hierarchy. So I have it selected. And then I'm gonna go to the details panel. It's on the right side. Now, if your details panel looks like something like this, sometimes it does that. Just, you know, you can drag it to the right or you can leave it over there on the left. It doesn't matter. But I like mine on the right, so it makes more sense to me. Anyway, in our details panel, we're gonna click on this anchors right here. See this anchors under the slot category. And we're gonna click, actually, we're gonna hold down Shift and Control, and then we're gonna click on the center one. So holding on Shift and Control, and then you're going to left click, and it's going to center that image into our widget here. So that's Shift and Control, and you can see it gives you the message right here. Hold down Shift to update the alignment, hold down Control to update the position. So that's what we want, holding down both Shift and Control and left click to center it. Next, we're going to change the size from 130 to something like maybe 4 and 4. It's going to make it very, very small. See how it's just a dot now. So like 4 by 4 for our X and our Y. And since a little crosshair or a little dot on the screen doesn't need really any code, right? It just needs to be there. We'll compile and save this indicator, and we're sort of done. Of course, we can add all sorts of events and stuff like that later, health and all sorts of stuff. But for now, that's all we need. It's just this little indicator for us. Now, when I hit play, I still don't have that indicator on my screen, right? So we need to add that indicator to the screen. So we're going to do that through the game mode. I'm sorry, through the MidTerm game HUD, the game HUD. So we'll double click that guy to open it up. We'll go to the event graph. And again, I'm in the MidTerm game HUD. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, when the game begins, so our event begin play, when the game begins, we're going to create a widget So create widget.
Oh wait, so I don't see the graph on my midterm game HUD.
There, you mean the event graph? If you do
Yeah,
not
the
see,
event. Oh wait, I see it. My bad.
if you
Sorry.
don't see it, it's okay. You can go right here to my blueprint, so you can see mine is gone, and you can just double click event graph and it will show up. I got someone not muted. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so again, begin play, drag out from here. We're typing in create widget. That's what we want, create widget. And then the class is going to be this new widget we just created called WBP underscore player indicator. Since our game is going to be single player, we can leave owning player alone. That should be fine as it is. Our return value, we're going to promote this to a variable, right? So this is like a reference that we can use later. It's you know, hey, we're going to grab this and save it and use it for whatever we need to use it for. We're going to rename this variable to WBP player indicator, right? Because that's what it is. We'll compile and save. And I'm going to make these a little bit smaller so you guys can really see it. And then I'm going to drag out from this blue pen from our newly set variable. I'm going to drag out from there. And I'm going to say add to viewport. This one right here. And it adds that widget that we just created on begin play to the player's viewport. When I click it, you can see it adds the white line and the blue line for us. So we have both the white noodle and the blue noodle. Okay, I don't know who texted me, but you're good, man. Was that you, Rob?
That's me. That's me.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. All right, we'll compile and save. And now when we play the game, cross our fingers, we should have an indicator. There it is, that little white dot in the center of our screen. So it can kind of help the player direct where they need a click and stuff like that, right? We're giving the player feedback of where they are.
It's a really small dot.
That's fine. What we can do is we can go back to our widget blueprint where we created that indicator. We can click on the image, go to the details panel, and we can adjust the size to maybe we want it to be pretty big, maybe 16 by 16. Hit play again, and now we have a big dot on our screen. And if you're really high speed, maybe you go to the appearance category, brush, and you change the image from none, which it is now, to an image maybe you find online or you create yourself of a circle, or maybe of a crosshair, right? Of like a cross, and you apply it there. Of course, you want to keep the size pretty small. You may even have to adjust the image size to do that, but I will leave that up to you if you want to do that. Personally, I think, you know, like maybe 5 by 5 or something, that's fine. But you can totally mess with all that as you see fit. I really like messing with UI. Okay, so we mostly have the beginnings of our game sort of structured and set up. So what we need to do now is stop right here, even though it's 8 o'clock and not 8:30. And we will link up again on Thursday and talk more about messing with this first person character blueprint to allow us to grab items. We will also create, we won't be able to finish that, but we'll also create a companion cube or a cube that we can sort of interact with. And we'll talk about how we can set up that kind of those interactions. That's actually going to be very big, so it'll probably be broken up on Thursday and Tuesday. All right, what are your questions? Let me stop the stream before we ask questions. So we'll stop